Good morning, and welcome to the first edition of Transsending News Magazine. I'm your host, Erica Daniela Botmow, and today we are reporting information about Mr. Donald Trump. As you know, he will be the next president of the United States for the second time. And I really don't see why he wants to be president, because he can't do a thing for us. He really can't. I'm just gonna bring something up. Bear with me for a second. Okay, stand by. I'm gonna share my screen with you.
Convicted felon Donald Trump has long been the candidate attaching himself to Christian nationalism, and even promised his supporters that he will deport anyone in the country who isn't a Christian nationalist. But now his Bibles will be mandated in every classroom. Be sure to check out ProfessorPride.com for hundreds of great deals and ways to show off your pride, like our rainbow socks and magnets. Check it out now at ProfessorPride.com. Before MAGA supporters accuse this of being fake news, all of our sources are listed in the description below for you to follow along in the script and fact check our reporting. So if you wear one of these, get down there in the description and learn something. Since beginning his first run for president in 2015, convict Donald Trump has promised to give Americans back their freedom of speech that was apparently stolen from them by someone somewhere. But none of the red hat lovers can seem to pinpoint when, where, or how.
Christians are under siege. We must protect content that is pro-God. We love God, and we have to protect anything that is pro God. We must defend God in the public square and not allow the media or the left wing groups to silence, censor, or discriminate against us.
But freedom of speech is a constitutional right given to all of us under the First Amendment, which states, quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. It sounds pretty simple, and it's a right Trump himself uses quite often at his rallies, when he rambles on for hours about Hannibal Lecter, or when he mocked a disabled person, or just this week when he mocked the widow of his supporter killed by the would-be assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah, remember the firefighter killed in the audience at his rally in Pennsylvania because the Republican shooter missed the shot? Well, Trump was talking about his widow this week and said, quote, so they're going to get millions of dollars, but the woman, the wife, this beautiful woman, I handed her the check and she said, this is so nice and I appreciate it, but I'd much rather have my husband. To which Trump replied and said, quote, now I know some of the women in this room would have been thrilled actually. As we always say on this show, freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequence. And just because there's legally nothing stopping you from mocking the widow of your own
Now, how much of a Christian is Trump? Does he go to church every Sunday? The, does he, does he, you know, no, I don't think he does go to church every Sunday. He probably just goes on special holidays and stuff like Christmas or something, or Easter or something. But how can he mandate Christianity and stuff? I just don't know. I just don't know. He he is banning abortion. He's banning he's taking away the rights of women to abort their babies, abort babies that they don't want. Um, and I don't think he has that right to do such a thing. So um, I really think that anyone who voted for him, like somebody commented that I was delusional. I think the people who voted for him, they're delusional. I'm not delusional. I did not vote for that man. I voted for Kamala Harris. And just like he planned that attack on the Capitol, I think we should follow up on him and plan an attack on the White House when he is in office. Yes, I think we should siege the White House when he takes office. So I'm urging all haters of Trump, all haters of Trump, all people that hate Trump to siege the White House. Siege the White House as soon as he takes office, as soon as he steps into the White House. I urge all haters of Trump to attack the White House. do the same thing that he did to the Capitol. Go after him and anybody in the White House. All out scaled attack on the White House because he's not fit to be our president. He's not fit to be the president of these United States. We had the right person all along. We had Kamala Harris. She is the president for me. She is the president for all of us. And I still claim a fix. I claim that the election was rigged. And Donald Trump brought those votes. He paid for those votes. He didn't win them honestly. So I beg of you, if you really hate Trump, make sure that once he steps foot in that office, once he steps foot in the White House, plan an attack on the White House. Use all kinds of force to get through the House, get through the White House. Attack the White House at all costs. Whatever it takes, we will drag him out of the White House. I feel very, very strongly about this. I feel very strongly about this. I stand by what I'm saying. Donald Trump does not need to be in the White House for any reason at all.
Supporter who was murdered by another of your supporters, it doesn't stop anyone sane from thinking you're a dick and should be disqualified from running for president of the United States. Can you just imagine if Obama did that, by the way? But for this story, we actually have to take you to Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains and the governor gets paid $147,000 per year. But one man who serves on his cabinet actually gets paid way more, all from taxpayer funds. That man is named Ryan Walters. Now, you might recognize that name because we've talked about Ryan before on this show. He serves as their state superintendent of schools. He appointed the terrorist group Libs a TikTok founder onto the state school library panel, even though she does not have any kids in Oklahoma or any kids at all, and does not live there herself. Convicted felon Donald Trump has already gone down in history as the oldest presidential candidate in American history at over 78 years old. So today we wanted to take an unbiased look at Donald Trump's full record on LGBTQ rights, including the good and the bad. In our previous episode, we took an unbiased look at Kamala Harris, how she has always been a fierce ally of the LGBTQ community and kept her promises to make things better. In a future episode, we plan to cover the even bigger homophobe RFK Jr., but this week we're focusing on the half-man, half-orange spray tan, Donald Trump. Because last week, my sister relentlessly shared an opinion piece calling Trump an ally of our community to all of my friends and coworkers. She said we should stick to the facts. So much like Donald Trump, she has opinions, and much like CVS Pharmacy, I brought receipts. But just to make this more fun for the rest of us, because let's face it, otherwise this is a homophobic mess of a man, let's make it a game. Donald Trump, you're the only contestant on Ally or Nazi. And look, even his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, not related in any way to
Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration.
You know, the guy that posted to his own Twitter page a photo of him buying Nazi merchandise? J.D. Vance called Trump Hitler 2.0. And around here, we call J.D. Vance Himmler. But trust me, it's way more fun if you play along with our delusions for a second, so let's play. Trump supporters will point out, rightfully so, that in 2016, Trump was the first Republican candidate to ever mention LGBTQ rights in his convention speech. And to our surprise, he got a round of applause back then at the RNC. But also on that stage was his vice presidential pick, Mike Pence, who is a strong supporter of conversion therapy and a member of the Heritage Foundation, which wrote the Project 2025 manifesto. But keep in mind, Trump's audience also gave him a round of applause after he told them he can murder someone on Fifth Avenue and they would still support him. They cheered when he called John McCain a loser for being a prisoner of war. They cheered when he said Ivanka, his own daughter, has a, quote, very nice figure. If she weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. So his audience will literally applaud anything. And while he mentioned LGBTQ rights in that speech, he also hired someone who wants.
All eyes on President-elect Donald Trump. There's been a lot of talk about his proposed policies, particularly related to the rights in the LGBTQ plus community. Trump has proposed to ban transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. He also said he plans for congressional approval recognizing only two sexes.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
There's been strong reaction from both.
See, he's even going after LGBTQIA plus people, saying that transgender people shouldn't participate in women's sports. Transgender females shouldn't participate in women's sports. If they are women, they should participate in the sports no matter what. Especially after they've gone through the process of being a woman, they should be allowed to participate in all sporting events. Soccer, baseball, football, whatever. And transgender men should also be allowed to participate in any sport that they see fit to participate in. It's not just trans women, it's trans men too. So, Donald Trump, you are a fool. You are a big, stupid fool, and you do not deserve to be our president. I will keep saying this over and over again. People who voted for him need to rethink what they did, because he's nothing but trouble. And he might put that wall up that he talked about. He might put that wall up that he talked about putting up. And we don't want that to happen, because even though we're trying to keep criminals out of the United States, we're still denying people that deserve to be here. We're denying people who have the right to be American citizens here. But we can't also allow criminals to enter our through our borders and stuff. We can't allow them to come through our borders and stuff. And we do need to hire real official border patrol people. We need people who are gonna do what they have to do to stop illegal activity from coming across our borders. We need to seriously rethink voting for Trump. I did not vote for him. The people who voted for him need to rethink it. But I'm really serious about as soon as he takes office, all haters of Trump will siege the White House. The White House will be under siege by Trump haters. People that hate Trump will seize the White House and drag his ass out of the White House. Drag him screaming out of the White House. I don't care what you have to do to get past Secret Service agents. Hopefully some Secret Service agents are on our side with us. And they will allow the people own the White House, not Donald Trump. It's the people's house. So I say the people take over the White House, run rapid at the White House, run amok at the White House. For those who hate Trump, run amok at the White House. And I'll make sure that I'm there to lead the pack. I'll personally make sure that I'm there to lead the pack.
And a member of Houston's transgender community, Barbie Braxton. So, Barbie, obviously you were not surprised, or were you surprised when you heard this?
I wasn't. I mean, we all been hearing about it. We all been hearing about, was it Project 25 or whatever? So no, I wasn't surprised about it. We're the least protected people. So he's going to try to make an example out of us.
Mm-hmm. And so when you heard this, what were your emotions like? What did you think about it?
I laughed at it because, I mean, nothing's really changed. She's just saying stuff that people been saying. So I'm just like, just wait for everybody else's turn.
Mm-hmm. And of course, he said, wait for it, because you think it will roll downhill.
It absolutely will.
After you guys, then somebody else, the next group, and the group after that. And what would you say to those who are in the LGBTQ plus community that may have, because there are the log cabin Republicans who support Trump, and there have been many individuals in the LGBTQ plus community who have supported Trump. So what would you say to those individuals?
Just keep your head up, stay strong. Basically, Rome was not built overnight. Not too long ago, Black people didn't have rights. They're trying to do us the same way, take us back. So just keep strong and keep your head up.
All right, Louis, your thoughts on this? Obviously, you're not surprised, but do you agree with what the president has to say?
Absolutely. I don't think that the federal government should be involved in the culture in which people operate. It changes nothing. If you are part of the LGBT community, you will be part of the LGBT community. This has specifically to deal with gender. As far as protections federally, everyone has protections. Everyone
Absolutely
has
not.
rights.
We
Those
don't.
protections are there. That I don't know what rights that I might have that you might not have.
It's a lot of rights that we don't have.
Can you name one?
We are the least protected people. Like we can, like, if somebody come, like even like the trans panic law, people know that I'm trans and I'm dating them. They can scream that we didn't know that she was trans, and they can get off.
What specific right? See, we're talking about emotion. How someone feels about you has nothing to do with rights.
It has a lot to do
You
with
have
that.
the right to
It has a
vote.
lot
You
to
have
do
the
with
right
that.
to.
Let me stop right there. Donald Trump does not support us. He's a transphobic. He's a homophobic. He's a lesbian phobic. He's queer phobic. He's everything phobic. He has a phobia of everything. And sadly, there's no cure for his phobia. There's no cure for it. The only thing is to eliminate him. That's the only thing. So that we can live as Americans, regardless of our gender identity or our color of our skin, our nationalities or whatever, so that we can live as true Americans. And I am a true American. I'm more American than Donald J. Trump.
To assemble, you have
That
the
don't
right.
that don't matter.
So what I'm asking is, what specific right do I have that you don't?
You're black.
Yes,
I'm
I am.
asking you,
My
black?
father's black. Yes.
Okay. So just as a cisgender heterosexual man, you have more rights than me, period.
But we can't compare this to being black, because
Absolutely, you
hold on,
can.
let me finish.
You
A
can.
white man cannot identify as a black man.
That has nothing to do with
gender
that.
is established at conception. Gender is recognized at birth. That's fact. And it's not
going to change.
And this has nothing to
anything.
do with discrimination. This has nothing to do with discrimination. You live your life, and I protect your right to live your life. You know, I would speak up for that. This has to do with the fact, you know, people think that this is a discriminative thing. This is 6th grade biology. This is not something as a hit against you. This is the federal government should not take part in the dysphoria that someone has about their gender. If you don't, if someone is born and they don't like their gender, and that's a completely different debate, right? We're talking about the.
If you don't like the gender you were born in, you have a right to change your gender. If you do not like that you were born female, you have the right to be a male. You have the right to change your gender to male. Just like I don't like being a male. I don't like being male. So I want to change my gender to female. And that's what I'm doing. I'm taking steps to do that. So Donald Trump cannot tell you what to do with your body. Just like he can't tell women, he can't tell cisgender women to have abortion, to not to have. He can't tell them not to have an abortion. It is our body. Whether we have gender identity issues or we have issues with being raped or molested or whatever. It is our bodies, and we should be allowed to do whatever we want to do with our bodies. And I say amen to that. I say amen. Hallelujah to that. And we're not too far from Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is approaching soon. So I would like to put out there what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for Kamala Harris. I'm thankful for Joe Biden. I'm thankful for Barack Obama and the Obamas. But I'm not thankful for Donald Trump. Him, I'm not thankful for. He is the last person that I would be thankful for. I'm not thankful for having him in my White House or our White House. That is our White House. That is our building. And we are going to serve Mr. Trump with an eviction notice. We're going to evict him from the White House, eject him from the White House. That is all I have to say. I have more to say, and I'll say it after these words, after these messages here.
The fact that Trump says that there are two genders, there's a male and a female, an
Everybody
XX
knows
and an
that.
XY.
Everybody knows that.
Then why? So are you saying that there should be some inclusion outside
It
of
should be inclusion in everything.
Why?
It should be
What's the
because
purpose?
everybody should be included in everything.
Let me
You
ask
can't not exclude anybody.
Outside of a person being born male or female, what else is a person born?
I said it, everybody already know that. So
Okay.
you keep repeating the same thing. Everybody know what we're born at birth. So that's not the issue. But you can't tell nobody that they can't be trans. That's like you can't tell nobody what they can and can't do. You cannot do that.
And that's not what's being
So,
said.
Barbie, let me ask you this. Are you concerned that at some point in your life down the road, you cannot change your birth? Because a lot of people change their birth certificates. And they go through the courts and they identify as, and it's on their driver's license as well. Are you concerned about those steps down the road?
Yes, for some people, and no, some people don't care about their stuff being changed, and some people do. But like I said, we just have.
See, that's another thing. I legally changed my name on my birth certificate. I legally changed it on all my documentation. All my documentation says Erica Danielle Love Fatmau now. And if you want proof of it, I will give you proof of it. I'll give you proof right now. Because I took steps to change my name. I took legal steps to change my name. Here's my non-driver's license. Here's my non-driver's license. It says Erica Danielle Love Botmow on it. Here's my New York City identification card. It says Erica Danielle Love Botmouth on it. Or Erica Love Botmouth on it. Even my Social Security card has the name Erica Danielle Love Botmouth on it. My Social Security card has that name on it. My Medicare card has that name. My Medicare card. My Medicaid card has that name on it. And my third-party insurance has that name on it. By the way, I'm switching back to Health First. Yes, I'm switching back to Health First for my third-party insurer. Come January 1st, I'll be switching back to let me even show you this. My half-fare Metro card. My half-fare Metro card even shows the name Erica D. Love on it. And if you want proof of my birth certificate being changed, I will give you that also. I will bring you that also. I just have to go down to the Department of Vital Records and pick up the new copy of my birth certificate with the full name Erica Danielle Love Botmouth on it. And Botmouth is a acronym. It stands for something. It stands for biological or transgender, transsexual, man or woman. That's what it stands for. Botmouth. BOTMOW. Botmouth. That's what it stands for. Biological or transgender, transsexual, trans man or woman. And you heard it here first. If you didn't hear it anywhere else, you heard it here.
To keep pushing. We have to keep fighting because, he can be overturned.
I mean, these laws were, women had the right to vote in 1920. The Civil Rights Bill was signed in 1964. It was amended to include specifically gender in 1967. So all of these bases have been covered. I think what happened was when Obama got in office, he acknowledged the inclusion of what someone identified as. Mm-hmm. And what it did was it sent a message that there was this third world. We got, at the end of the day, the federal government, the Department of Education, we've got kids in third world countries, learning organic chemistry and quantum physics. And here we are arguing about whether or not somebody was born a boy or a girl. And that might not be the argument here, but that's the general discussion. Mm-hmm. And it's sad is what it is.
It's not sad because people need to learn to accept everyone, no matter what they identify as. You keep trying to say, oh, this and that and third world country. We're not worried about what's going on over there because we don't live there. We're dealing with what's going on in our backyard. But see, that's what he's doing now because he got everybody in an uproar to come against the community that a lot of people do not accept. But like I said, everybody just have to wait their turn.
The beauty
Because
of
he's
this,
going to get everybody.
the beauty of this country, regardless of who someone voted for, is you can disagree with everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, if the protections that I have, if someone does something to you versus if someone does something to me, the consequences are the same.
No, it's
So,
not.
you know,
Absolutely not.
You know, that
It's
might be
not.
perceived, but
Louis,
it's not.
you have to wrap it up because we're moving on. But go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead,
but
wrap it up.
that's not the truth. We need to understand that you don't have to agree with something that someone else does. You know, I'm part Korean. I eat Korean food. Some people might view that as weird. Doesn't mean they want to oppress Korean food. Doesn't mean that they hate Korean food. They just choose to think it's weird. You know,
and
so
compare,
if someone believes
identity.
that just in the same context as you can't compare black to this gender dysphoria, this family.
Okay, what the man said about Korean food. I don't have you know, I love all kinds of food. I'm just a food nut. I'm a foodie. I love food. I don't care what kind of food it is. As long as it's not dog food or cat food. As long as it's not pet food. Because I don't eat that. Even though I might be tempted to go after my cat's frisky buffet or Frisky's cat food dinners and stuff. Even I might have the temptation to go eat that. I will not eat it. I will not eat pet food because I'm not a pet. I'm a human being, and that's what we have to remember, that we are all human beings. Donald Trump is not human, though. Donald Trump is a robot. He's a machine. And he needs to be disassembled. He needs to be taken apart. Disassembled. That's what he needs to be. Because he has a short circuit loose.
Us out of time, and I'm sure the viewers like, let him go, Isaiah. But we have other stuff. We have.
As the future Trump administration takes shape tonight, there are some concerns here in Maine among the LGBT community. Some say they fear their rights could change. Bonnie Bishop joins us here tonight. And Bonnie, what are you hearing?
Well, John, the Trevor Project, the leading suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ plus young people, saw an overall volume increase of nearly 700% on November 6th, compared to the weeks prior. So I reached out to experts who work to support that community.
People were scared, people were worried and concerned, and so there were nearly 100 people here on the day after election just to feel safe.
Gia Drew of Equality Maine says she's been working to reassure members of the LGBTQ plus community.
But I also don't want to be unrealistic either, because there is a real fear about what a president can or can't do and what that federal impact can be on people's lives.
Trump says Republicans will end left-wing gender insanity, citing examples like banning taxpayer funding for sex change surgeries and stripping taxpayer-funded schools from promoting gender transition. But legal experts say Maine passed a non-discrimination law back in 2005, including sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression.
That's been bedrock in Maine for a long time now. Doesn't mean it's always followed in practice, but that's true of all anti-discrimination laws.
Maine legalized same-sex marriage back in 2012, nearly 3 years before it was legalized nationwide. Mary Bonato of Glad Law worked on that case.
Absent a constitutional amendment that bans marriage nationwide, states can still approve of marriages of same-sex couples.
Still, there are concerns for non-traditional families. Evie Woodland, head of Bernstein Schure's family formation practice, says to consider updating documents like your state ID, driver's license, and birth certificate.
As Mainers, we have protections under state law for making those gender marker and or name changes.
Woodland also suggests updating federally issued IDs, like your passport or social security card.
Currently, changes to those types of documents can be made without medical documentation or a court order. However, these documents are governed by federal law, so they could be impacted by the new administration.
They also recommend getting an adoption decree, even if you have a birth certificate, which may not be recognized in other states.
You want to make sure that you have that adoption decree so that both parents can be in the room making medical decisions.
Now, it's important to note, while Trump has mentioned these changes he wants to make, we've only heard him outline immediate actions like mass deportations and improving government efficiency so far. For Maine's Total Coverage, I'm Bonnie Bishop.
After last week's election of President Trump, we have been taking a closer look at how communities are reacting to his win. Among them, the LGBTQ plus community.
New at 6, NBC4's Alex Rozier joins us live from West Hollywood with more on what local leaders are saying about his victory. Alex.
Colleen and Robert, NBC News exit polls showed nearly 90% of LGBTQ voters voted for Kamala Harris. So understandably, after Donald Trump's win, there's some sadness and frustration in this community tonight. 1 week after America elected Donald Trump as the next president, many in the LGBTQ plus community remain disappointed.
I wanted to raise people from the depths of despair that they found themselves in. But the truth is that that's part of how we build revolution.
Ashley Marie Preston is a community leader and trans woman.
They're clearly coming after trans people.
Transgender people were often targeted by the Trump campaign.
We won't be changing your children's gender with their transgender craziness.
They have to find the scapegoat, or that one small community that's so small, a blip across the globe, that they don't have the power, capacity, and resource to advocate for themselves. And they use it as a distraction.
Since Trump's victory, LGBT organizations have been flooded with calls to their hotlines. The Trevor Project, a suicide prevention organization, reported a 700% increase for their crisis services the day after the election. A similar situation here in LA.
We have seen an increase in demand for services here at the Los Angeles LGBT Center.
Joe Hollandoner is the CEO for LA's LGBT Center.
And we are going to provide not just a safety net for our community, but we are going to be the resistance to any policies that the Trump administration throws our way that tries to
Okay, a known fact. This is a known fact. Every 24 hours, it's happening every 24 hours. 24 hours, 24/7, it's happening. There is an attack on transgender women, especially trans women of color. There are women being attacked because of their gender identity, and they're not just being attacked or assaulted, they're being literally murdered because of their gender identity. And you can check that with Human Rights Campaign. The Human Rights Campaign reports all kinds of news about transgender murders and stuff like that. In fact, let me see if I can share my screen. Page. HRC, Human Rights Campaign. Trans murders. Okay. Transgender hate crimes. Fatal violence against the transgender and gender expressive community in 2024. The Human Rights Campaign is both saddened and infuriated by the deaths of at least 29 transgender and gender expressive people whose lives were tragically and inhumanely taken through violent means, including gun and intimate partner violence. Since 2013, the Human Rights Campaign has tracked incidents of fatal trans violence. The same year, the Federal Bureau of Investigation began reporting on hate crimes. Motivated by anti-trans bias and provided action items that can help the end of the violence. In 2024, 76% of victims were people of color, 52% were Black transgender women. "59% were killed with a gun. 35% of victims with a known killer were killed by a romantic or sexual partner, friend, or family member. 41% were misgendered or dead named by authorities or the press. Okay, Santana Fan Coleman, a 48-year-old Black gender non-conforming person who often went by San or Strawberry, was born and raised in Athens, Georgia. San was loved by many and had a particularly close relationship with their mother and younger sister, who described San as the life of the party. They regularly attended every cookout, party, and family function. And often did their friends hear. San tragically died in Athens, Georgia on Saturday, October 19th, 2024. Horny Daniels, a 37-year-old Black trans woman who was also named Horny Moffat, and some media reporting was known among loved ones for her charming personality, love of superhero movies, and hair and makeup skills. Speaking to Gay City News, Dominique L. Wright McLeod, a friend of 22 years, described her as someone who could make anyone look like a movie star with a little time and the right makeup palette, and who was a bright portion of the LGBTQ community in Buffalo and Rochester. Juanita was killed in a hit and run in Rochester, New York on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. Katniss Omar was a 29-year-old Black trans woman who fled to the United States in 2015 as a refugee from Somalia by way of Kenya to escape anti-LGBTQ plus harassment and violence. Settling in Columbus, Ohio, she was tragically shot in 2022 by two teenagers who lived in her apartment complex and had been harassing her due to her gender identity and sexuality. Though she survived the shooting, she was paralyzed and confined to a nursing home as a result, ultimately succumbing to her injuries and passing away on September 6, 2024. So just to show you that I'm telling you the truth about these tragedies here, it's coming straight from the Human Rights Commission or campaign, Human Rights Campaign. These women, and I call them women, Red, also known as Barbie, was a 25-year-old Black transgender woman who loved Nicki Minaj hair and makeup and dreamed of opening her own beauty business. On September 8th, 2024, she was shot and killed in Chicago, Illinois. Vanity Williams, a 34-year-old Black transgender woman, was an Air Force veteran who had recently begun nursing school with the goal of opening a med spa. Tragically, before she was able to realize this dream, she was shot and killed in Houston, Texas on August 3rd, 2024. I'm really not going to go into all the gory details. I'm really not going to read all these names. But I will scroll down and you can see the faces and stuff. HRC has been tracking reports of fatal anti-transgender violence for the past several years. Previous reports can be found here. 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, and 2018. So, if you know anyone who is transgendered and they are in fear, or you see any violence happening to a transgender person, please report it. Please report it before it's too late. I sit here before you as a proud transgender woman, 57 years old, going on 58. I was born March 17th, 1967. Okay, so hopefully this will be on as soon as possible. Hopefully it'll be on, and hopefully the stream will not be banned or blocked or anything like that. Because the last time they blocked a stream because of some kind of content issue or something, some kind of content sharing issue or something, I'm not sure. But hopefully the content that I shared with you today will be helpful in some way or another. And we must get Trump out of office. I stand by my decision. I decided that he's not fit to be our president.